Welcome to Bet On It. I am Kelly Stewart. We're talking college football for the week of Thanksgiving. Marco, VR, let's get this show on the road. I've got turkey and stuffing to eat. There they are. Two of my favorite guys, at Greek_Gambler and at Marco D'Angelo. If you guys are looking to give them a little bit of love on Twitter, as VR always like to say, smash that like button. We are here for you, and we have been absolutely crushing this show. But without further ado, let's get into the big game breakdown. Fox, 12 Eastern, Ohio State, 8.5-point favorite at Michigan, total 64.5. Marco, Ohio State has been on an absolute tear the last couple of weeks, and Michigan has been the biggest surprise, at least for me, out of the Big Ten this year. Maybe John Harbaugh got that monkey off his back, but we're going to find out on Saturday.
Well, Kelly, the monkey's not off his back until he beats Ohio State. I'm sorry. His only other big game this season was against Michigan State, and he lost that one after blowing a big lead. And how many people are going to say the following when they look at this game? Well, Michigan State beat Michigan. Ohio State just beat the snot out of Michigan State. So if Team A can beat Team B and now Team A is playing Team C, well, you know how that works. If you follow that kind of handicapping, generally you go to the poorhouse, comparing it that way. This Michigan team, it's now or never for them. And yeah, Ohio State's rolling right now, but Michigan is a better defense than we saw from Michigan State last week. Michigan State has been torched all season long through the secondary. That's not going to happen this week against Michigan. And other than that fourth quarter collapse by Michigan this year, you're right. It has looked like Coach Harbaugh has got that monkey off his back, but it officially won't be until Saturday if he can beat Ohio State. All of the marbles are in play here. Big Ten championship. Get yourself in the picture for the national championship. I think a one-loss Big Ten team, if they go on and win their conference championship, will be a representative in the playoff picture. So with this one, Kelly, I got to use your old saying, prime time, home dog. That's where I'm at. I got Michigan. This one's going to go to the wire. Let's call it 30-28. Let's make Johnny Detroit happy Thanksgiving weekend. Let's call for the upset with Michigan.
Ooh, that's going to be interesting. This was not a team I considered for my three-team parlay because I didn't think that Michigan could win this game. VR, my question is this. We've seen nothing but Ohio State money. I'm assuming if the wise guys are going to get involved, they're waiting until Saturday.
Yeah, most likely if they come in, I wouldn't be surprised if they come in on the underdog. It's one of those weekends, though, and I touched on it when we did the Thanksgiving show, that a lot of the betting syndicates know enough that there's not that big of a rush because there's going to be such an influx of casual bettors betting this weekend that they're going to affect the market in a big way, more so in college football than on your normal Saturday. And this being one of those marquee games, rest assured, the public, when they speak, they have the ability to move this line even some more. And like you said, it's probably going to be on the Ohio State side. They made a statement last week by not only beating their opponent, but crushing them, destroying them. And the reason I don't want to take a lot of time on this game is because like last week, when I didn't have a pick on it, and I actually talked myself out of leaning Ohio State and on Michigan State's side. But then come Saturday, I had done more work. And one of the groups I work with bet Ohio State, and I fired too. So I don't want to get you on or off a side and then have me feel stronger come Saturday. Right now, though, from what I see, I like the Michigan side because of they have the defense to stay in the game. At least that's what the metrics show. Obviously, Ohio State's offense is more explosive and the analytics are going to be more impressive, but it's on the defensive side of the ball that Michigan, I think, could keep this game close. And if you're getting more than a touchdown, it's the way I have to lean, but not a game I bet. I bet 3 college games so far. None of them are 4 or 5%. No best bets yet. They're all just 3% plays because, like I said, there is no rush when this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there is just so much opportunity because there will be so much inefficiencies in the betting market by design, not by mistake, but by design to take advantage of that. A lot of work still needs to be done. But yeah, I lean the Michigan side, excuse me.
Sounds like we all three lean with the Wolverines. It is now time for some TNA with Mr. Ralph Michaels, the resident Buckeyes fan.
Like our videos, then subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification button so you'll always be the first to know when there's new content available.
The guy with a chart for everything, Mr. Ralph Michaels. Speaking of a chart, Ralph, I feel like this has been a topic of conversation the last couple of weeks, and that is teams that need one more win to be bowl eligible, and that is this week for most of those teams not named Cal or USC.
It is. In fact, Kelly, there are 19 teams currently sitting at 5-6, trying to get to the 500 mark to make it a positive season, and more importantly, becoming bowl eligible. Before we get to the chart, I do want to wish everyone a very happy and safe Thanksgiving holiday. I appreciate you following me on Twitter at CalSportsLV. And again, it's a great weekend for football. Well, Cal, when you look at 5-6 teams and you say, how have those teams done? I think there's two strictly different categories that I broke down. First, it's a 5-6 team off a win. Why? That team was 4-6. They had to win their last two games. They're coming in with positive momentum. And then a team that was 5-5 lost last week, now has pressure on them to get there when they had 2 weeks to do it. So when we look at the chart, the top chart with the green are 5-6 teams off a win. I will list those at the end of this when we're done talking about it, Kel. And then the 5-6 teams off a loss. Take a look at the teams that have positive momentum. That means you're 5-6 and you won last week. At home, they've covered 75%. And on the road, they've covered 57%. Let me mention those teams now. These are teams off a win. They are Florida State, TCU, Tulsa, and West Virginia are playing on the road off a win. LSU, North Texas, and Old Dominion are playing at home off a win in the strongest 75% category. Now, when we look at 5-6 teams off a loss, look at the home record, Kel. Since 2017, the chart on the right, 39% against the spread. Since 2013, on the left, 41.2%. So that team that was 5-5, coming off a loss, and now has the pressure of playing at home and having to win to get to a bowl, has covered 41% the last 8 years, 39% the last few years. If you are a 5-6 team off a loss and you're on the road, you've done well again, 58%. So 5-6 teams have three positive scenarios: off a win at home, off a win away, off a loss away. One clear negative: off a loss at home. Those teams that are off a loss at home in alphabetical order: Charlotte, Florida, Florida Atlantic, Memphis, Rutgers, San Jose, South Alabama, and Syracuse. So when you're reading write-ups this week, if you read, oh, this team needs a win, a lot of times Vegas inflates those numbers because they need a win. But if they need a win and they're off a loss and at home, Cal, we've seen they've been a play against.
That does not bode well. I'm really glad that I didn't use some of these on my list for my 3-team parlay because, boy, does that last little bit of that chart not bode well. But LSU is on my long list, so we'll see if they end up making it.
Well, again, it's something that, I've looked at frequently, and breaking them down really is eye-opening. There's one thing I do want to mention. 5 and 6 teams off a win have hit 46% to the under, which is 46% to the over, 56% to the under. 5 and 6 teams off a loss have hit 57.5% to the under. 67.5% to the under. 13 overs, 27 unders, and 1. So those 5 and 6 teams off a loss have been a clear underplay as well. There's 4 more things I want to bring up here.
Sorry, Ralph, go ahead.
Sorry, Kev. I was just going to go into my next line, so I'll throw it back to you with those underplays on those 5 and 6 teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are some of the things, kind of like those double-digit favorites to the under in the NFL that you came up with. Now I'm going to have to start looking at those total plays in regards to these teams trying to be bowl eligible.
This one I'm going to give credit to the Playbook newsletter and Mark Lawrence. And I was just reading it, and I really wanted to share it. This is on his Bet You Didn't Know from the Playbook newsletter. And it was interesting to me. So I wanted to throw it in the mix here with the TNA segment. Play against any college football conference favorite in the final game of the regular season if they rush for fewer than 100 yards per game. So we're looking at a team as a whole. Obviously, pass-happy teams, a little easier to shut them down. But when you look at college football conference favorites that rush for under 100 yards per game, final regular season game, they have only covered 33% of the time. So that's a 67% ticket to fade. 2 teams fall in that category this week, Arkansas State and Nevada. Keep that in mind. 3 more I want to bring up for you. Week 7 on. So we're into the heart of the season. We're mid-October and later. You're a home dog and you're off a shutout loss. Have you done well? Hell no. You're 33.3% week 7 on. Home dog. You got shut out last week. Who's that team that falls into the 33% category? That would be Rutgers. This is one we mentioned last week or a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to bring it up again. It is teams that got outgained by 120 or more yards, but they won the game, and now they're an away dog. How have those teams done? Perhaps they were fortunate with some turnovers. They got the win. Now you're going on the road against an inferior foe. Those teams, 21 ATS wins, 40 ATS losses. That is 34.4%. That team to fade, Colorado playing Utah this week. And the final scenario has 3 teams that fit the category. You have revenge. You are in November. Your last game, you were a double-digit dog, and now you're between the 3s. So you're playing a team with revenge last month of the year in November, and you're coming off a game where you were a sizable underdog. Now you're at home and the line's between the 3s and basically a toss-em. This situation, Cal, 28-11, 72% against the spread. It says to play on those home teams between the 3s, Arkansas State, Michigan State, and Nebraska. Now, let me remind you, this situation says Arkansas State. The situation we pulled from Mark Lawrence's playbook says to fade Arkansas State. So in that situation, it's a clear throw that play out for me in that role. But that'll do it for the college football season for this final week of the regular season.
Thank you to Ralph. As always, Ralph, happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate all of your trends and angles. That is what I am thankful for this year. Make sure you guys are giving Ralph a follow at CalSportsLV on Twitter for more of his charts and trends and, of course, those angles. And don't forget how red hot his NBA plays have been. So, Ralph, again, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Barking Dogs. Then we got a sandwich game, maybe. Trap game from Marco. We're going to find out, but we know we got a Steam game of the week from VR.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at Sports Memo? If not, here's your chance. We want to give thanks to all of you Thanksgiving week by discounting everything at Sports Memo through Monday, November 29th by 40% using coupon code THANKS40. This coupon code can be used on anything and everything from daily packages to 12-month all-access passes. Our new handicapping roster of experts is strong, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem our Thanksgiving offer is go to sportsmemo.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, use coupon code THANKS40 at checkout, and save 40% on your purchase, and repeat as many times as you want until the clock strikes midnight on Monday. 7 days for under $10 a day. There are 2 college football games Tuesday night, 4 NFL and 2 college football games on Thanksgiving, 16 college football games on Black Friday, plus a full Saturday and Sunday of college football and NFL action. Add in any NBA, college basketball, and NHL action, and it's an awesome week of sports. We are so very thankful that you are current or maybe a new client of WagerTalk, and we want to give you our best once-a-year price for a 7-day all-sport, all-access package. Enjoy the holiday with family and friends, and don't worry about missing plays throughout the week if you're traveling. That's right, only $69 for 7 full days of college football, NFL, NBA, college hoops, NHL, and any other plays your favorite capper releases. Happy Thanksgiving and safe travels for those hitting the road from our WagerTalk family to yours.
Welcome back to Bet On It. That's right. It is time for the segment I love most of all. Why? Because I'm addicted to that plus money. Marco, it is week 13 of college football, the very last week. Who is winning outright for us?
All right, Kelly, before I go into this game, I just want to touch on something. VR had talked about this is a week where the public gets involved so much. One other thing about Thanksgiving weekend is it's also what is known as rivalry weekend. You've got all of these games where you've got the rivals. And, you know, history has shown you can throw the stats out the window on rivalry week because for a lot of teams, the underdog, this is their bowl game. They may not be going to something else, and they take this game very seriously, the rivalry. And because the public is involved more this week, we know how the public bets. They bet the favorites. They bet the overs. You can get some really live dogs, Kelly. So this should be one of your favorite weekends. And let's start with one of those live dogs, and that's Oregon State here against Oregon. We got several things into play in this game, Kelly. Let's start off with the most obvious one, the Dream Crusher. Now, I know you're going to say, whoa, Marco, they still got a goal in front of them. They can win the Pac-12 championship. They win this game. They go to the championship game here in Vegas, and then they get to win the Pac-12. Well, you know what? Whoop-de-doo, because let me tell you, if you're Oregon, that's a consolation prize. They had it in their sights to get into the national championship playoff picture. How they were ranked, where they were at, that's a whole nother discussion. I totally disagreed with them. And it showed last week when Utah took them out behind the woodshed and just beat the living snot out of them. But what Utah did do is show the blueprint of how to beat this team. Run the football right down their throat. Get physical with them. It's a typical Pac-12 school. It's a finesse school. They don't like to get slapped in the mouth. Well, guess what? The Oregon State Beavers are going to slap them in the mouth. This is a team that runs the football very well. Oregon State also, oh, by the way, Oregon State, number 8 in the country at 229 yards per game on the ground. And what it does, they're not one-dimensional. They can throw the football as well. And when that running game is going, that's when that passing attack is even more dangerous. Given the circumstances, yes, it's a rivalry. Oregon doesn't want to get beat by Oregon State, but I just don't know how they picked themselves up off the mat. I am going with Oregon State. They're 9-1 as a road underdog the last 3 seasons, and I am calling for a little sprinkle, put some stuffing on it. We're going Oregon State, 31-28. Take the points and a little sprinkle as well, Kelly.
Marco, you better do more than a little sprinkle because you just gave away my best bet this week that I texted Dave Portnoy on Monday evening. He said, I need your best bet early this week. I said, sir, you're in luck. I love this game. We will get to my analysis at the end of the show. But VR, maybe you got another barking dog that I agree with.
It's not even a dog. It's like a pick 'em game, but I'd rather give out a pick that I backed with my own money than look for a dog I lean on that I don't even know if I'll get to the window with. The other two bets I gave out are totals, so I got to use this one for the dog and the other two, one for the steam, one for the best bet. But like I said, each one I released as a 3% play, no one stronger than the other or anything like that. So the reason the disclosure is so you do your risk management correctly, whether you follow or fade. Now, my dog is simple, and it's the Washington Huskies. It's at +1 right now. It doesn't really matter. The reason is this. This is their Super Bowl. This is their national championship game. You're 4-7. You're not going anywhere when this season's over. But the least you can do is show up to beat up Washington State, that in-state rival who's sitting at 6-5, who wants this win, who wants that, not end at that 500. And then when you look at the metrics, forget the motivation and the opportunity and the situation, but the metrics back it up because this Washington defense is going to create a ton of problems. This is a defense that allows only 5.1 yards per play. At 4.9 yards per play. It doesn't get better than that. And for Washington State to have success, they need to throw the football. That's been the way they've gotten anything done with those wins. They only run for 123 yards, but they're going to have trouble doing that against a defense that allows only 5.2 yards per pass attempt. The NCAA average, 7.4. They're at 5.2. You're not going to throw the ball with a lot of success. You can't do that. They don't have the running game either to really do damage. I think Washington's in this game, and it's very winnable for them. And like I said, there's not a bigger game for them than this one because you have nothing to play for but showing up against in-state rival right now. So give me Washington, not a syndicate play. None of the groups bet it. This is a play like mine, that I like. Hopefully they confirm it, but I liked it enough to give it out like Wyoming last week. I had already released it. Hopefully the same happens this week and they come in like they did last week. But Washington it is for me, Kel.
Love it. I also have Washington on my list, and now I'm going to get to the window because just like last week with Wyoming, I got that little extra nudge from VR. And as we already said, Marco and I agree on the Beavers. But Marco, I got to know, it's got to be a trap game this week, right? We got the last week of college football.
Well, Kelly, not so fast, my friend, as Lee Corso would say. We have a sandwich game, and I'm going to go right back to the well to a play that I had last night when my MAC conference game of the week, we released Western Michigan. Why? Because the team they were playing had nothing to play for. They had the conference wrapped up. They're going to the championship game next week. Oh, so there is a game next week. So you can't have a sandwich spot. Well, this week it is Pitt Panthers in Syracuse. Pitt last week, when they beat Virginia, clinched their trip to the ACC championship game. Now they got to play Syracuse. What is there to play for this week? It's not going to affect Pitt getting into national playoff picture. Everything comes down to next week's game, the ACC championship. Oh, maybe Kenny Pickett. You want to pad his stats for the Heisman run? No, the Heisman race is over. Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud locked that up last week with his performance. So if I'm Coach Pat Narduzzi, we get in, we get out, we get in as healthy and out as healthy as we can. And the back door, even if they have a big lead, is always going to be open because the Pitt secondary is very suspect. And I'll tell you what, I have been absolutely dialed in on this Pitt team all year long. Whether it's been going with them, call me a homer if you want. I've gone against them as many times as I've gone with them, and Kelly's been there for a few of them. We had Western Michigan when they upset Pitt. We had Miami of Florida. and the over in that game when Miami of Florida beat them. That was the game after Pitt took care of Clemson. This is a spot where Pitt comes up historically flat. I'm going to take the inflated number. And, guys, this is a Saturday night game. For Syracuse, yes, Syracuse needs a win to become bowl eligible at 6-6, but this is their Super Bowl, their bowl game, whatever you want to call it. They're playing the top dog in the ACC from the one bracket, and this game is a night game. Rare Saturday night game in Syracuse. They will be wild. We're going to go ahead, take Syracuse plus the points. I'm not going to call for the upset because I do think Pitt will win this game. They got just a tremendous offense, but I'm going to call it a shootout, 35-30. Grab the points with the Orangemen.
Just a little under 2 touchdowns. Seems so easy to lay that 13.5 with Pitt. Marco, I am with you on the Orange. VR, that freight train's rolling down the tracks. I got to know who this Steam game of the week is.
Damn, and talk about Steam. It's moved again another point since I sent it to you guys this morning. And I had sent it to subscribers well before that. Because we bet it, and that's the Thanksgiving college football, Mississippi State, and we're going over the total. That's correct. I released it at 62. We got down from 60.5 all the way to 62. That's why you're seeing such a move continue. The piggybackers probably getting on board. But I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some public money come in on the under. And here's why. This has been such an under series between these two teams. I mean, 7 of the last game between them have gone under. The last 4 have gone under. And even with high totals, in fact, the average total of the last 4 games, I think, was around 63.5. The average total of the last 8 games, which I said 7 of the last 8 have gone under, was around 61.5. So it's like, Ace, why are you going then? The trend says under. No. It's a much different season, and we're looking at 2 completely different teams. I always say the perfect storm many times is the contradiction. 2 great offenses becomes the perfect storm for an under because the game plan comes in completely different. You want to keep that other offense on the sideline many times. A lot of times it may not want to be a shootout. Or 2 good defenses, many times the perfect storm for an over. Why? Because the total's shaded towards that bias. And then what you get with defenses is many times turnovers, which lead to points, short fields, which lead to points, and even special teams, which could lead to points. Again, you have 2 defenses here, which allow only 5.5 yards per play, both below the NCAA average. But it's on the offensive side of the ball where eventually those defenses will crack because these offenses are fully loaded. And I think that's why you're seeing such sharp money come in. They priced this a little bit too low and followed that 8-year trend, that 4-year trend of setting this total right around the number. But that was their mistake. And that's why we're going to take advantage and buck that under trend and go over. Like I said, I gave it out as a 3% play. It's obviously steam because it continues to move in that direction. So whether you follow or fade, I hope you cash them, don't trash them.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, it's time for Best Bets.
A Black Friday quiz, which is better? 1, paying $349 for a 1-month all access, or 2, paying $244.30 for 1 month all access. The day after Thanksgiving, we want to continue giving thanks by giving all of our customers 30% off anything priced at $149 or more. A Black Friday sale was always a once-a-year chance to buy something at big discount, and this is it. Even better, we are running this promotion Black Friday through the end of Cyber Monday and making coupon code THANKS30 have unlimited uses. Whether it's a single sport package, a 30-day all access, a full season of college hoops, or a full 12 months from your favorite handicapper, you will save 30% with coupon THANKS30. You can fill your goodie bag as many times as you want until the clock strikes midnight on Monday.
Welcome back to Bet On It. It is now time for best bets, and Marco did most of the heavy lifting for me on this one. That's right. I'm taking the Oregon State Beavers +7. As he already mentioned, dream crusher scenario for the Ducks after they got absolutely routed last week by Utah. But more importantly, this Beavers team has been on my radar all season long. They have been a part of my 3-team money line parlay twice so far, and that is because they have a real shot here to make a leap and bound over what they were the past few seasons. Ever since Mike Riley left Oregon State, Corvallis, if you will, things have not been well there. But they are really turned a corner this year. I got them over their season win total, and now I'm going to have them beating their in-state rival, the Oregon Ducks. I know they have not played well in this series as of late, but as I just mentioned, it's been kind of some growing pains there for the Beavers. And this Ducks team doesn't have a whole lot to play for. I think this is Oregon State's chance to finally stifle Oregon. Give me a little on that +230. Marco, your best bet for this week in college football?
Well, Kelly, we're going to go to Penn State, Michigan State. Man, where do I start? I can throw out every handicapping cliche that I have for this one. We can call it the Dream Crusher. We can call it a trap game. And I'll explain why. Let's start with the obvious, the Dream Crusher. Michigan State, talk about a dream. That turned into a nightmare real quick last week against Ohio State. What was it, 49-0 out of the gate? And to be honest, Michigan State, everything's off the table. That one loss took them out of the playoff picture, took them out of the Big Ten championship race, so they can't even go for the consolation prize. So that puts us on Dream Crusher alert immediately, looking at the Penn State side. Then we look at, I'll throw out, why do I say this might be a trap game? Well, for the average bettor, they're going to look and say, okay, that was just Ohio State. This is still a top 25 Michigan State team playing an unranked team. And the Lions picked the winner. It actually crossed to the Penn State side. That's easy, isn't it? No, it isn't. That's a trap. They are begging you to take Michigan State. I'm not buying it. I'm taking Penn State. Now, we might have a little fat and sassy come in here on Penn State side, but I think he's going to want to prove worth it. And it was a distraction. Let's face it, whether you like James Franklin or not, it's been a distraction the last month. People asking, are you leaving? Are you taking this job, that job? It seemed like his name surfaced for every coaching vacancy there's been in college football this year. Well, they put that to rest yesterday. Penn State and James Franklin agreed on a 10-year contract. He ain't leaving. He's staying in Happy Valley. Whether you like James Franklin or not, he's there. And let's look at them for this season, Kelly. Yes, they have 4 losses. The first loss against Iowa was just gut-wrenching. They lost their quarterback. The backup they had couldn't get a first down to save his soul, and they ended up losing 23-20. They had total control of that game before Clifford went out. Then what'd they do? They lost that same game twice against Illinois in their next game. That epic 9 overtime, can't get 3 yards on a 2-point conversion game that they lost. This is a spot for them where they shine. I like them over Michigan State, and it's all about defense. They own the best defense in this game. Number 6 nationally, yards per play allowed. Michigan State comes in number 73. Sean Clifford should have a big day against that Michigan State secondary. And, if he gets hurt again, he left last week's game with an injury. Freshman came in, made his first appearance of the season, and he lit up. Granted, it was Rutgers, but he lit them up with no practice for 3 touchdowns, 235 yards in relief. So if Penn State has to go to the bullpen for some reason, it's not like it was when they had the Iowa game and couldn't get any offense. They have a plan B. I like them. We're going to go ahead, take Penn State 34-20. They roll is my best bet.
Okay, Marco, I like it. That's one of those really tricky trap type of lines. I will also be on the Nittany Lions. VR, who is your best bet for this week?
All right, this is a 3% play I sent out. And again, I just don't want any backlash if you hear I hit my best bet, because just by definition, it can't be a best bet because that's 4 and 5%. I want you to manage risk correctly. My only goal is to see you make money from watching this show. This is a play that I like, and one of the groups I work with bet it. I'm seeing some pushback as the line moves. You decide. Same game Marco touched on, and that's Penn State and Michigan State. Now, the reason I talk about the line being so important, we joke about closing line value in CLV, and you see all the time when people get burned and like, oh, I got closing line value. What's it mean if the ticket doesn't cash? And all that you guys talk about is closing line value. It doesn't mean shit if the ticket don't cash. Let me tell you about closing line value real quickly in college football in the year 2021. So far, there have been 369 college football games that have moved 3 or more points, 369. If you bet all 369 of those, when the number opened, you cashed 62% against the spread, 61.9, 62%. That's unheard of win rate over 400 bets. Incredible. Now, what happens if you waited and bet at close, waited till Saturday to bet those same games with the same exact results? You finished 184, 182, and 3. 2 games above 500. When you throw in the juice, you're down over 10 positions at least. So the same exact game, the same exact final score, 2 bettors with the same exact side, but because one bet it when the line opened, the other one waited till Saturday. One guy's rich, like I say, the other one ducks when he sees his bookie. That's the difference about chasing bad numbers. You just can't win doing it. And I know we cherry pick when the closing line value doesn't come through, but rest assured, that's why Pinnacle grades you that way. That's why the sports books here in Vegas grade you by your ability to beat the closing line. So hopefully we do that here with the over Penn State, Michigan State. Real quickly, I won't go into the metrics so you can look at those yourself, but here's what I'm going to point out. They set this line too low, and the reason is recency bias. I like sharing different ways that I look at games. The last time Penn State shut somebody out was Indiana. And what did the books do? They posted a line of 41 against Iowa. And of course, they went over the total, Penn State versus Iowa. Well, what happened the last time Michigan State scored 20 or less points? Well, they were facing Michigan the following week with their ferocious defense. So the books put up a 51. And what happened? 70 points were scored. Michigan put up 7 last week. As good as Penn State's defense is, Michigan's scoring at home. And just like Marco said, Penn State's going to get their points against Michigan State. Would not be surprised if they do win this game. I like that side. I think Marco's right. And they're getting steamed, as you see, too, seeing the line move. So the market is definitely agreeing with my man. I hope he hits it. But again, it just sets up nicely for an over. It sounds square, but when you look at the defense, maybe it isn't so square, especially a total for Penn State of 51. So for me, I'm going over. I think it's at 51, 51 and a half, 52. Grade it wherever. Just like I said, I hope you win. Cash your ticket, whether you follow or fade. I released it, so I bet it. Hope it cashes.
Current line is 51 and a half on the WagerTalk odds screen. We're going to take our last commercial break of the show. And when we come back, we're going to wrap it all up for you with the recap.
7 days for under $10 a day. There are 2 college football games Tuesday night, 4 NFL and 2 college football games on Thanksgiving, 16 college football games on Black Friday, plus a full Saturday and Sunday of college football and NFL action. Add in any NBA, college basketball, and NHL action, and it's an awesome week of sports. We are so very thankful that you are current or maybe a new client of WagerTalk, and we want to give you our best once-a-year price for a 7-day all-sport, all-access package. Enjoy the holiday with family and friends, and don't worry about missing plays throughout the week if you're traveling. That's right, only $69 for 7 full days of college football, NFL, NBA, college hoops, NHL, and any other plays your favorite capper releases. Happy Thanksgiving and safe travels for those hitting the road from our WagerTalk family to yours.
I swear I'm trying to get rid of this part of the show because I know all of you guys are just scrolling to the end. But now you got to go back. You got to find that VR gold. Is it in the NFL show? Is it in today's show? Is it in the Thanksgiving show? I guess we are never going to know unless you guys actually watch the goddamn show. All right, let's wrap it all up. Big game breakdown. We all three agree on the Michigan Wolverines. I'm going to wait. I think this number is going to tick even higher. Maybe we can get a 9 by kickoff. Barking Dogs, Washington for Gianni. Best bet of mine is Oregon State, which is also Marco's Barking Dog. I love to hear that. Marco says the deli's back open. Syracuse getting just a few too many points before Pitt heads to that ACC championship game. And VR said, don't worry, this one's already been bet up, but he still thinks there's some value here in the over 63 in the Egg Bowl on Thursday. And then the best bet, this just kind of happened to work out this way. Marco said it's Penn State -1, and VR said it's the over. I think those two are correlated. I like both, and I will be involved in both. Thank you guys for hanging out with us all college football season long. I do believe this is our last college show, unless for some reason I get the guys talk about a couple of bowl games on video. So thank you guys again. Smash that like button. Drop some comments. Be appreciative of all the gold we drop all season long. From Marco, VR, Ralph, and myself, we'll see you on the NFL Bet On It show.